Hi, I'm Pete, and this is a sticker reveal for the Giga Rhombic Tuttminx. That is the Giga version of VeryPuzzle's Rhombic Tuttminx. So this is a huge puzzle, and it comes assembled but not stickered. And in fact, it comes in a package that says don't turn it before you sticker it, which is a very good idea, because it would be very easy to get it all mixed up. So the puzzle is definitely basically a two-layer version of the Rhombic Tuttminx, and we can see that it has the same pentagon faces and the same irregular hexagon faces. The difference is that each face of the Rhombic Tuttminx basically is cut with an extra circle. And so it gives you all of these additional pieces. That's not the only difference though. The other difference with the Giga Rhombic Tuttminx is that the sticker scheme is quite a bit different than the Rhombic Tuttminx. So we'll look at the pentagons first. You see that on the Giga Rhombic Tuttminx, they've used a textured sticker for the entire pentagon face, one color. Whereas on the Rhombic Tuttminx, they've used 5 different colors. Likewise, on the hex faces, they've only used 4 colors, whereas on the Rhombic Tuttminx, they use 6 colors. So that's a pretty big difference. There's also something kind of significant in terms of the difficulty of the solve, which is that on the small triangles on the Rhombic Tuttminx, they are part of the textured sticker, and these small triangles are able to rotate, meaning on the Rhombic Tuttminx, there's an extra step when you're putting these triangles in that you have to make sure that they're rotated in place, and as we run out of room at the end, there's an algorithm actually to deal with that. On the Giga Rhombic Tuttminx, those pieces are on matte stickers, meaning that there's no obvious orientation to the small triangles. They're also a different size now, but I guess, yeah, they're still smaller than the pentagon triangles. So that means that there's a bunch of pieces here, not just the triangle, but the adjacent pieces that all could have any one of 3 places, and it doesn't make any difference. There's no obvious difference. They are equivalent pieces. That makes that part of the solve a little easier, but let's face it, it's not going to be easier or quicker solve because there's just so many more pieces. Also, because the pentagon faces are now have a textured sticker, they have all of these pieces have specific placement. There shouldn't be any orientation on the pentagons, but they all do have specific placements. So there'd be a lot of checking and making sure that the patterns are all lined up. Having said that, the pentagons are a little easier to work with than the hexagons on this puzzle. So that was actually a good choice. There's more work to do, but it's not super hard. Definitely going to be a fun puzzle. Now, if you're here, if you have one of these or if you've tried it, a full disclosure, I did have some problem with loose caps on this puzzle. So I didn't actually turn it until I finished stickering it. And in fact, when I did my first sticker reveal, I hadn't turned it yet. I wanted to do that on the video, but the problem is I had some pretty spectacular pops, pieces flying out and everything. So I have a whole bonus section for this video that I'll show after the main feature, which shows what the problem was and how I fixed it. Not a super big deal, but you're certainly going to have to address it before you start playing with your puzzle. Okay, a bunch of the caps are loose. It just has to be fixed. Okay, so assuming that you've gotten past that or you haven't tried it yet, let's take a look at how the puzzle actually turns. You have the big hex faces or irregular hexagons, and they have 2 circles. So I've done a little bit of turning now, so it's not as brand new as, say, when I first tried to make this video, but this is what you get. So it's not super easy turning, but it's actually not bad. And of course, the physical size of it gives you a bit more grip to place on the faces. Makes it a little easier. The outer rings, I think, turn just a little bit easier than the inner rings, which actually does cause a bit of problems because, as you notice here, I'm holding the outer ring. So turning a face is a bit of a two-handed task at this point anyway. There's no lube on this right now, and that is something I would like to do, but I want to at least try one solve before I resort to lube. Very similar to what I did on the Rhombic Tuttminx. Initially, most of the faces broke in quite well, but there were a couple that were still a little sticky, so eventually I went and put some lube just on a couple of faces, and it didn't take much. So that's something to consider. I like to try and break it in first before I put lube on it. So yeah, so that's what you get with the puzzle. I'll try. I'm gonna do an algorithm here, and this is where I was getting into trouble before with the loose caps. It was really dodgy to do anything on it because the puzzle would start popping. And I'm confident. I hope I fixed it. I'm pretty confident I have fixed it. It's not a big deal. But of course, a little off-putting. You spend many hours putting stickers on, and then you start turning it, and then kablam. Okay, there you go. So we have our 3 cycle. Not too bad at all. One thing that's going to be really important to remember as we do these turns is whether you're doing a small, an inside turn or an outside turn. It's going to be really important to keep track of that. Now, you'll see that I kind of wiggle the face. That's my kind of go-to move when I'm working on a big complex puzzle. That popped just a little bit. That might be one that I didn't actually... I don't know if it popped or was loose or just was lifted up. That's the other thing. Anyway, yeah, my go-to move when big faces are sticky like that is to wiggle it a little bit, and it quite often will loosen up. In this case, it didn't. Yeah, I just have to make sure that the adjacent pieces. There we go. Huh. Okay. So, yeah, this is. I think this is a lap puzzle, not really a very good desk puzzle. So that is something to keep in mind here. Yeah, so it seems to be fine, and I am looking for any possible pieces that are getting ready to come out. The caps coming off is not a big deal unless that causes other pieces to fall out. Then it's a huge deal. All right, time to flip it over here. Take a look at the other side, and yeah, let's grab a couple more faces to do some algorithms on. There we go. So now I'll try the bigger rings. They do turn a little easier than the smaller ones, but you still gotta be. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, so I'll eventually get used to landmarks here. Let's see. There we go. Yeah, not too bad anyway. Okay, so that's just your basic 3 cycle of the what I used to call the narrow edges from the Rhombic Tuttminx. That's these ones, but they're certainly not as narrow as they used to be. Because this is the old narrow edge, but then this is the old wide edge, and they're pretty close now. All right. So yeah, I think that doing just a little bit of turning on this puzzle will help loosen it up. And we'll also just reveal any issues that I have to take care of, because I really do want to make sure it's working well before I invest time in a scramble and starting a solve. Yeah. You know, I really appreciate getting these puzzles, you know, being able to get these puzzles with, it's really kind of cutting edge stuff. You know, it's, whoops, puzzles that we wouldn't get from maybe a mainstream puzzle manufacturers looking for volume. So yeah, I really appreciate being able to get these puzzles from VeryPuzzle. Now this one did come pre-assembled, so that was a bit of, I guess, a bit of a help, but you know, I certainly don't mind doing the DIY kits. I kind of find that fun. Okay, so there's my color scheme. Not really quite sure if I'm not sure what scheme I used. I guess I just was probably inspired by the standard MF8 dodecahedron puzzles, probably, from the looks of things. But, of course, you can't actually find all those colors. We have many more colors and different colors, so I'm not quite sure how I ended up with the sticker scheme. But I started with one scheme, and I remember changing it a little bit partway through. So, yeah, just kind of a fun thing to try to put together. Of course, important to remember when you're putting the stickers on to watch the patterns. Make sure you don't accidentally turn the sticker sheet or something, and just double check. But that's it. This is I am really looking forward to getting this thing scrambled and started. And I've just turned that. Oh, yeah, okay. I think I did 180 degrees. See, this is the thing, right? It has orientation, so you got to watch that. Yeah, I want to get it scrambled and start on a solve. I'm really not sure exactly how I'm going to do it. I have my ideas. Probably a reduction solve, so a reduction to this Rhombic Tuttminx. Yeah, all in all, it's there's a lot to do and to work out before I even solve it. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this, and I'm really glad I got it finished and stickered and ready to go. It's just a beautiful puzzle. All right, well, that's it for this video. Do remember that there's a bonus content after the end of this, which will show you about the issue with the caps and how I fixed it. And yeah, as always, I do appreciate your questions, your comments, your suggestions. So leave me feedback in the comments. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to reading them. And well, that's it. Until next time. Thanks for watching. All right, here we are with the bonus content for the Giga Rhombic Tuttminx. And the issue that I'm going to work on here is the fact that the puzzle, unfortunately, the Giga Rhombic Tuttminx is popping quite badly. I've tried to make the sticker reveal video a couple of times, and I've had pops both times. And, of course, that really spectacular pop. So I definitely know that some of these wide edges are just they seem to be popping out, and I'm not really sure, like I can push them down and then they seem to be back popping out again. So I'm not sure if they're being pushed out by the adjacent pieces, or if the base that they're on is just a little too big, and that's kind of pushing them out. But in any case, what I think I can do is just glue those back down. That, I think, is going to be at least my first step to addressing the issue. Now, what I think made this face pop, I'm not positive, but I think one of these popped off and it left a space, and all the other pieces shifted, and then that's what caused everything to fall out. I am a little concerned about the wide edge, because the wide edge also popped off when I had that big pop, and it's just pushed in on a couple of posts. So I may have to glue that down, but I'm going to wait on that because having these wide edges available and easy to take the cap off makes it a lot easier to take pieces out of these faces. So I'd rather not have to glue it down. Okay, so that's what I'm going to work on, is these wide edges. And I think I'm just going to have to do it. I'm just going to have to go around, you know, do the top, do the 5, do the bottom, do the 5. I think that's what it's going to be. So that's a bit tedious and time consuming, but you know what? Sometimes you have to do that. All right, so let's get some glue put out here, and I'm hoping we'll be able to just have the glue just, and it won't cause any problems. Okay, good. The glue's coming out. Yeah, I changed to this brand of glue because the other one, the packaging kept, I'd open it and then the next time I go to use it, the glue would be all dried out. So, okay, well that's great. So now I am confident to take off my safety glasses, just because I still have glasses on. And all right, so we have that little drop of glue. That'll be fine for the time it takes to do this. So I guess I can just take all of these out. I'm not really sure. Yeah, you see how easy it came out. That's oh, okay. I thought it would actually, I really thought the base was going to come off. That's kind of funny, actually. So here's what we're dealing with, and you can sort of see this. Okay, so it's just a little, yeah, just a little tiny base. So yeah, the idea then would be to put a little bit of glue just inside the cap, just inside, and then glue it down. All right, so I think I will do that. But now here's the question: do I take all of these out all at the same time? Yeah, see, that one came off. That came right off. Okay. Yeah, so I'm just going to put I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the corners here. And just see how that's going to work for us. And of course I got it. Okay, and then just squeeze it tight. Good. Okay, so that's one. And I think this will go a little faster as we get going here. I want to make sure I'm actually getting the glue on there. Kind of hard to see, really. Okay, now let's see if I can get this. Okay, so there we are. So that's 2 of them done. Okay. Well, what do we think here? I think it's going to be that way. Of course, I want to make sure that I get the pattern right. Okay. All right, so I have 10 of the edges on this pentagon glued down and 10 on here. It seems to be good, though I was just doing some turning, and I did have one of these 2-color edges kind of popped on me, so I may have to do a bit more work on the puzzle besides those edges, but I think that would probably be a good first step, is to go around and do all the pentagon, all of these little edges in the pentagon pieces. So there are 12 of these pentagon faces. I've done 2 of them already. So I'm just going to go around the puzzle and just finish those off. Then once that's done, I'm really seriously going to look at these two color. They're the middle of the narrow edge, what would be the narrow edge on the Rhombic Tuttminx. So yeah, so a couple of these have popped off, and I just had one just as I was just experimenting a little bit. So I think I'm going to look at gluing those down. Oh, there's 4 per hex face, and I think there's 20 hexagon faces. So that is quite a bit. But hey, it's all going to be worth it. And once I get cranking at this, I think it's going to go very, very quickly. All right, so at this point, I'm just going to go off and do all that work, and we'll skip ahead. And when I come back, we'll see how things look, and maybe talk about what the next steps might be. All right, well, here's a little update on the gluing of the edges. I've got on the top half of the puzzle, I have all the pentagon faces done. Didn't take too long. What I eventually ended up doing was I'll take out 4 of them, I'll glue them, then I'll put them back and take out 6. I also got my Sharpie marker out here. It's my silver Sharpie marker. So what I'm doing is when I take the foot out, I just put a little line across the foot, and you can actually see that line if you just spread the piece open. So if I wasn't sure which one I'd done before, it's very easy to check now. I was doing a little bit of turning, and I did see we're not quite out of the woods yet on pieces popping out. One thing I noticed was these 2 color edges were popping out quite readily. Okay, so you see there you go. So unfortunately, there doesn't appear to be an easy way to figure out which one's gonna go and which one isn't, other than what I've just done, which is to test it out. All right, so I'm just going to do the narrow pentagon edges on the south pole of the puzzle here, and I'll be thinking about what I'm going to do for those 2 color edges, because I want to kind of solve that problem. I don't want them randomly popping out. As you can see, it's quite off-putting when it just like pops out like that. All right, we're back, and what I've done so far is I've taken out all 10 of the kind of long edges on all of the 12 pentagonal faces. It's 120 edges altogether. I took them all out. I glued them all. What I found was that only about 1/3 of them were loose. But of course, once I've taken them out and taken them apart to check, I just went ahead and glued them all. The other thing I found as I was doing this, that it was quite possible if I just kind of put the puzzle like this, and I started up here and I went around clockwise, take all of these long edges out, just line them up, take them apart, glue them, and put them back in. So I was able to take out all 10 at once on a face. Didn't take me all that long. The other thing I did was I looked around for the 2 color edges on the hex faces that were loose, because I thought I had quite a few loose ones. I actually found one. It's just held in by the foot has a couple of posts sticking up, and then the cap just has sockets on it. But I only really found one that was loose. I actually tried really hard to pull some of the other ones out, and they didn't come out. So I'm not really sure how common that issue is. But in the process of taking some of these edges out to check them, these wider edges, like these ones right here, they have the textured, the ones on the texture. So there's going to be, I think, 2 of those per hex face. I found a couple of loose ones of those, but again, it doesn't seem to be as common as the issue with the wide pentagon edges. So I'm not really sure where to proceed. These pentagon wide edges are definitely loose, but I don't think I've really had any pop other than that big spectacular pop there, but that was, I think, led by other pieces. So this is one of these things where I really want to kind of really understand what's loose and take the time to fix it, because if I don't get these now, a typical solve in this puzzle I expect to be about at least 10 hours. So, if I'm midway through a solve and it pops, it really kind of dampens the experience. So I don't mind spending a little extra time now. I did try doing some turns. I haven't put any lube on it yet because I want to save that for once I get everything done and get it broken in a little bit, because it does break in as you're turning it. So I've tried a few turns, and so far I haven't had any more pops. On the other hand, the main time I was having big pops was when the camera was rolling. So there we are. All right, well, let's give it a whirl. Ah, there we go. That's what I was looking. I was actually looking for that. And again, we have the pop at the 2-color edge. So it looks like there's not a lot of them that are bad, but I definitely have to get those locked down. Okay. Well, and actually it's a 2-color edge and the wide edge. I was actually saying before that the wide edge that was kind of part of this. Let's see, yeah, on the textured side, so this one and that one. So it could actually have been that one that caused the issue as well. So don't really know. I might have to just go around and take care of those. So a little update on the 2-color edges. These are the hex face edges. There's 4 of them, and they're held on little posts and little sockets. So a few of these were loose. What I've been doing, going around, I'm taking out the associated wide edge, and then pulling on it just to see on the 2-color edge, just to see if it comes out. And if it does, then it's here, and I'm going to glue it and just put it right back on the puzzle. In order to get at these 2-color edges, I do take out the one of the wide edges, and since I have to pull it apart to check to see if it's loose or not, I'm just going ahead and gluing it. It is a lot of work, but it doesn't take long. Actually, once I got all this done, it's only going to take a few minutes to glue all these and put them back in. A few other pieces fell out as I went around, and that just happens, and all I do is just put it there, and I'll get it when I go to put everything back together. The puzzle has gotten just a little bit crumbly because I'm kind of going around, but it's not too bad. It's not like massively falling apart. I think this is an efficient way to do it. So I figure this will take probably about 10 to 15 minutes to glue and put everything back. It's really a fairly quick process at this point. And I think that's it. I've done the top, I've done the bottom, and I think I'm pretty well done here. I will check. Having that little streak of Sharpie, and I got to go and redo a couple, but this little streak of silver Sharpie kind of really helps, because I can just quite easily just spread the pieces apart to see if I've checked that piece or not. All right, I'm going to get to work on these, and I'll check back in when I'm done. All right, and that's done. So I've addressed issues with loose caps on the pentagons. I've addressed issues with loose caps on the hexagons. Hopefully that will be enough. But the way to tell, the way that I've been able to tell, is just to do some turns. Okay, and that really is the way that I've shown when I still have more work to do. Or when it's working fine. Puzzle is starting to loosen up just a bit, just as these faces get turned. There are a lot of different faces, so it's going to take a while, I think, to get to each one. Okay, so that face is pretty tight, but it's actually not too bad. Ah, there we go. Aha, that's what I'm looking for. That's the sort of thing I want to get right there. Okay, because that tells me that cap is loose. And, corner, eh? But you see, this isn't too bad, because this is not going to destroy anything. If I'm in the middle of a solve and that pops off, as long as it's just that one, I can put it back. The puzzle doesn't crumble or anything. But there you go. It's another... Yeah, that's another one to do. So now I'm not sure what the orientation of this is going to be, so I'm going to have to actually get that base out fix that before we proceed. Okay, very good. So there's another piece to check. All right, well, I'm back from checking all of the small square pieces. These are on the matte stickers. So the one that popped out, on that same face, I took out all these wide pieces. They're easier to take out. That gives you access to the 3 identical small squares. I did that on a few faces around the puzzle. And what I found was that every single one of them that I pulled out and tried was absolutely tight. The caps were not loose at all. The only one that had been loose was the one that popped out. But when I squeezed that back together, it was tight as well. So instead of gluing them all, because it's a pretty big job, instead of gluing them all down, I just decided to go around and make sure they're all squeezed down tight. And I found a couple that seemed like they might have been a little loose. And that's it. So I think for now, that's how I'll leave it. Just that cap popping off doesn't really seem to cause it to pop anyway. Like it'll come loose, but it's not going to cause pieces to fall out. So I'm comfortable with the way it's done now. And if I have to go back and glue them, that'll be fine. But it is a very, very big job for the entire puzzle. So the kind of the proof is that whether or not I can actually do some algorithms here, because this has been the ongoing thing. Every time I try to do an algorithm on video, that's when it seems to that's where I seem to be getting the pops, not just randomly when I'm testing it off of video. So that's I think we've got everything. And even if I don't have everything right now, I think I got everything that's likely to cause a problem for me if it happens when I'm solving. So it ended up being just a few different pieces. And again, I've had puzzles with loose caps. Usually it's the center caps, and so it's not usually such a big deal. But this is a very large and complex puzzle, so yeah, go figure. All right, so that's what it looks like. I don't really see any other issues with it. So hopefully I got the whole thing fixed up. And I hope this, me pointing this out doesn't put you off the puzzle, because I really do think it's a really good puzzle. It just, sometimes you do need a little bit of work. All right, well, that's it for the bonus content. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down in the comment section. And I'm out of here.